What's up, Laker Nation? This is episode 5 of the Downtown Lakers podcast. I'm your co-host, Ethan Shirazi. This is your other co-host, Jake Ellenbogen. All right, well, we have another loss last night versus the Warriors, 123 and 116. Lakers dropped to the 4th seed. And, man, it's getting close to playoff time. And, Jake, what are your thoughts about last night, bro?
Man, just the inconsistency, it sucks to follow up what I thought was, some impressive wins against Houston and Memphis, and of course, the Pacers. But I think this stings. And when you look at it, this team, they dominated the Warriors all year long in this series. It was 3-0. You lose this game, and some people say, oh, it's no big deal. The Warriors are a really good team, whatever. It is a big deal, right? Because they don't have the tiebreaker, but they're creeping up on you, and that's the thing, like where you look at the standings, and this is where it can become a problem, man. This is a problem because the Nuggets are ahead of you. The Warriors are now 1 game away, and we can still, continue to play this game where it's like, oh, yeah, the Lakers are fine because, they only lose to bad teams. Well, you still got the Pelicans on the docket for tonight at 10:30. They're pretty bad last time I checked, right? So it's not going to be as simple as that. And I think it's really important for people to understand this because, regardless of bad teams or not, you're still playing the best team in your conference back to back, Oklahoma City. So you got Dallas. AD's going to want his revenge. They are scratching and clawing, trying to get into the play-in. You still have Houston again. They're going to want revenge. You just beat them. And then you got Portland. So this season is wrapping up abruptly, it feels like. But the Lakers' 3-game losing streak back, a week or so ago, when you're talking about losing to Milwaukee, Chicago that was just terrible. And then Orlando, this is an issue with the Lakers is that there's been a lack of consistency. And we see it last night. And it's like, I know everybody wants to flock towards Luka because he didn't shoot particularly well last night. But I don't even think Luka was that bad. 6 for 17, that happens. It's not like 1 for 30. So the way people were reacting to that was a little ridiculous. It's mainly because LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Rui shot very well from the floor. So obviously that's going to highlight it. And Doncic, of course, had a 0 for 6 in that 3-point column. But look, the way I see it is this. The defense wasn't good enough. You had brought it up on Twitter about Vanderbilt not being in there. Vanderbilt should have been guarding Steph Curry. Okay. I mean, that's just the bottom line is that Vanderbilt should have been out there guarding Steph Curry, who had 37 points. And the big issue, I know a lot of people were complaining about the officiating. I would push back on that a little bit. And you know me, I will call out officiating. Right. I think it's fair to say the Warriors were the better team last night. And anytime the Lakers made any semblance of a run, the Warriors kept knocking down shots. It's frustrating. I get that. But the refs aren't the reason the Lakers went home with the loss last night.
Oh, I agree. I mean, look, if you play this Warriors team, any time of the day, if you make a mistake, they make you pay. It's simple as that. And for us, first play like the way we did last night, inconsistently, especially, on the defensive end and rebounding, it won't get the job done for any game, that you play. And also, what happened to the defense? I mean, we had the best NBA defense in like an 8-week stretch. And then, for us to have a stumble like this till the end of the season, it's not good, especially when the playoffs are around the corner. And, and then allowing, what's his name, Podziemski to have 28 points, 8 threes in his career high. You got to do better than that.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Podziemski and Curry, and I know that they have some crazy record when Moses Moody plays for whatever reason, but
for some reason.
I will say the guy that really kind of propelled this win, Lakers were coming up on a run, and then Jimmy Butler started hitting some shots. Kuminga started, forcing some contact and getting to the free throw line. And I noticed that I think that was key and critical for them to hold on to that lead. When Jimmy Butler hit that three right in LeBron's face, when he was, I mean, you couldn't guard him any better without fouling. That's when I knew this game just wasn't going to be won by the Lakers on this night. It's frustrating. I really find it annoying. But the Warriors are not a team to just, push around and whatnot like you have all year. They are a completely different team with Jimmy Butler now. And that it's time for people to start realizing that. I know the Lakers, it felt like, it's an end of an era for them because the Lakers beat them in the playoffs. Well, Warriors,
it's a whole different team.
You got Steph Curry looking on the outside thinking, how much more time do I have? They're going to try and win another. I thought Draymond Green was really good last night. I thought he was really good. Just the little things, I thought the ball movement was really good. And that's the problem, is that they have guys that have played some really, really good basketball. And that's, that's my thing, is that when you look at all this experience all across the board, guys that have played in some big time games, well, now you add a Jimmy Butler, and you can definitely see how that could be a problem. As far as the Lakers are concerned, though, Jordan Goodwin not really doing anything in the stat sheet last night. Gabe couldn't get his 3-point shot to hit. Finney Smith couldn't get his 3-point shot going. That hurt them. I mean, the bench points were few and far between. You're talking about seven bench points. It's just not enough to win you games. So is that ultimately a concern? I will say this. I don't like the way Dalton Knecht is played. I love JJ Redick. I think he's special, but I think he's smart enough to know Dalton Knecht is a much better player than a guy that just doesn't. He's a healthy scratch last night, essentially. I think that is an issue. And the reason it's an issue is we've seen this guy, when he gets the chance to play and he gets into a rhythm, he is valuable to this team. But when he's sitting there marinating on the bench, as a rookie, I could say he's got some confidence issues. We've seen it. He was already traded once. I just feel like that is the poor decision. Some of these guys, are really vital, especially defensively. And maybe Knecht needs to get better defensively. But 7 bench points, Knecht can average more than that per game if you give him 20 minutes. So I didn't agree with the usage there. I think this was one of those games, though, where they're like, you know what, balls to the wall, put everybody out there. This is they have to win this game. I get that. I think Knecht could have helped them last night, especially from 3. You have these guys shooting, a combined off the bench. You're shooting a combined, 1 for 11, right? Only Gabe Vincent knocked down a 3 off the bench. That's not good. So they shot, 47 threes last night, and they hit 18, and only one of the 18 came from the bench. That's not
won't get it done.
Conducive,
Right. And the thing that I would say is, like, when Luka has a good game, it gets everyone going on the bench, especially, when he scores like a good 28 to 30 points. You see Gabe knock down threes. You see LeBron make good shots. Jackson make really good plays in the paint. And, especially when Luka goes off, he has to have consistently, really good games throughout the games, especially when the playoffs are coming up. And then, that's a big vital factor that, that we have to have. But we got 6 games left, so got to keep them pushing, got to win games, especially when the Warriors are like 1 game behind us in the standings of the 5th seed. So anything can happen. If you come out losing, then it's possible we can go to play-in, but top 4 is what we want to be in.
So right now, the Lakers would have the home court advantage. They'd play the Warriors in a 7-game series.
Right.
Is that the most ideal, do you think? Do you see this team winning a 7-game series against the Golden State Warriors?
I do. I mean, look, if we watch film from last night, we can look at all the mistakes we did, like no rebounding, lack of defense, all that stuff. But the one thing that kind of concerns me is the height. Like as we said multiple times in our podcast, like Jackson Hayes is a very good center, but it's kind of hard to like play as a small body unit to get rebounds. play defense consistently throughout the games. But I do believe that we can beat anybody in the game in the 7-game series up to possibly the Western Conference Finals. So that's my opinion on that.
Do you think Jackson Hayes played enough last night in a game like this?
I did not. Especially,
I didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like got to always have a center on the line. No matter what, got to have a center on the line to play defense, get rebounds, pick and rolls. But that's always the thing I want to say too. I mean, I feel like that we're not playing enough pick and roll. We're just playing ISO, and it kind of messes up the offense as you probably seen. Because when LeBron has the ball, or Luka or Austin just play 1-on-1, it runs down the clock a lot, and I feel like right. So if we do pick and roll like we did when we have AD on the floor before the trade, makes the offense a lot more lethal. And we can attack the pin, kick, and drive to the corner. Makes the offense more consistent and lethal.
Yeah, I think you're really onto something there. There's a lot of ISO. I think really they've been trying to, because they were running some zone last night, the Warriors were. And when, you have zone, you try that dribble drive, try and, pull a guy or pull two guys away from a certain spot. And then you're trying to kick it out. And they did. They got those looks. Unfortunately, those looks didn't come down, for three. I mean, you look at Dorian Finney-Smith, he misses that 3-point shot in the corner. And it's just stuff like that where it's like I think they did try. Now, there will be times, and I know I'm not the only one. I see a lot of Laker fans on social talking about this. When you have like LeBron James will have a really nice, strong layup, nicely facilitated by like, Luka or Austin. And then the next possession, it's like LeBron tries to play bully ball and then turns the ball over or whatever. But it's not just him. It's like Luka does this too, where he has a really strong finish to the hoop. And then the next possession offensively, it's like it's me type of ball. He does it. There's not one pass. He brings it up court, backs down, that whole thing. And it's like, I don't want to be that guy these are professionals. I don't want to be that guy that complains about that because I know that happens, but still, I don't feel like that is the best way to utilize this offense. I feel like this offense is based on like what they have right now. They're based on a lot of different things. They have guys that can, penetrate the paint with that dribble drive. You're talking about Austin Reeves. He can get in there pretty easily. LeBron James, Luka, right? Then you got, a center that's really athletic, can run the floor well. He could be that guy that, you penetrate the paint, you get the guy on the outside, again, Jackson Hayes, you throw it up to him. He's a lob option. Not really going to help you much in terms of jump shot, pull up ability, but, there. So you have those things. Then you have outside shooters. Like, we've seen when Dorian Finney-Smith has his shot going, he's not scoring 2, he's scoring 20, right? He's had those games. He actually just recently had one of those games. Right. But it's like you have these different, traits and perks about this offense, but I think it all comes back to one deciding factor. This offense, as well as pretty much any basketball offense, runs well when you have the ball movement and you have the floor spacing. And I think last night they had moments where they had that, but I think you got to credit the Warriors and Steve Kerr for, limiting that with the zone. They had an opportunity, but keep in mind, when you get those opportunities, you got to knock them down. But when you don't knock them down, you got to give the other team credit for putting you in a position where you had a really, really small margin for error, because you're like, okay, I penetrate the paint with this dribble drive. I opened up, Dorian Finney-Smith on the corner. The best you can do is make it. If you don't make it, they did their job. And that's the way it is. It's the same thing with shooting. If you miss, you got to credit the guy who's defending you, right? Absolutely. And so I think that's what I would take away from that, is that I know a lot of Laker fans were really upset about last night and wanted to place blame on, Luka missing threes and the refs. I think, and I'm being just real here, the Warriors were better last night in multiple categories.
Much better.
So
defense, offense, playing as a team, ball movement, shooting, you name it. But that's
yeah,
something that we can watch film on and move on. I mean, especially when we play in the playoffs. That game in particular, we can take on and learn from it and move on. Especially like I said, if we want to play them in the playoffs. Um, but tonight we play the Pelicans back to back. Hopefully win this one because Pelicans have been kind of lacking. No Zion, no
they're
McCollum.
horrendous.
Horrendous.
They
So
are
let's
horrendous.
hope they're still horrendous tonight because we have to win and bounce back from the last night's night and get back hopefully to the third seed. And
Yeah,
also,
that was the
yeah.
Lakers' 10th loss of the year, by the way.
Oh, I know. Yeah, at home.
At
Yep.
home. So
Right.
they are a really good home team. I still think that is very apparent. I still think that's one of the things I look at when you're trying to figure out, project this team in the playoffs. I still think they can win the West. I mean, I still believe that their best is better than anybody in the league, but they have so many games where you're like, oh, I didn't like the way they finished that, even though they got the win, or
Right.
oh man, they had a 15-point lead and they blew it, And that was the case when AD was here. That's been the case with Doncic. I mean, that's what this team is. I think, when you don't make a lot of moves in the offseason, I know they got Doncic, but this is a team that really didn't bring in anybody new during the offseason. That was their decision. Whether they were waiting for 2026 or not, I couldn't tell you, but that was their decision. And so because of that, they don't have the depth of some of these other teams. I've been saying that. I mean, Jordan Goodwin, nobody knew who he was until this year, right? So they're reliant on guys that simply no one thought of. And I think that's an important thing to remind people of, because when you go up against a team like the Nuggets, who always have that depth, right? And you go against OKC, who's got plenty of depth. They've been tanking for years. I mean, that is going to catch up with you. So you got to be really smart. You got to be cautious, and you can't commit too many fouls because God forbid one of the big three gets into foul trouble. It's going to be a problem. Now, before we get into the Pelicans game, I wanted to ask you, because I've seen some people complain about LeBron James not necessarily being the best fit with Luka and Reeves. I disagree, but I get why people are a little frustrated at times, where it seems like LeBron, and it's felt this way for a bit now, where LeBron is kind of on the fence, where he wants to kind of give up the ball handling duties entirely, but then he also still, like, late in the game, he wants to have the ball. And
Right.
It's weird because it's not the way of like Allen Iverson, for instance. When he had the ball, he just wanted to shoot it. LeBron wants to be the quarterback. He
Right.
wants to be the facilitator. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know, again, a lot of people have on social been complaining that maybe LeBron isn't the best fit with those two. How like he'll just take over and stuff. But to me, I think it's just an inconsistency. I don't think, like, the idea that LeBron doesn't fit the two doesn't make any sense to me. I don't subscribe to that.
All right, look. So I mean, obviously, it's a much different fit than the LeBron and AD era, just because LeBron's a forward, Luka's a point forward or point guard. But as you see multiple times, both can score the ball, both can facilitate the ball, and make their team is better. But in terms of the long run, I mean, obviously, LeBron's coming to his career ending in like a few years, maybe two years max. But I think it's a good fit. But there's some negatives and positives, but I think it's positive just because of all like the things we've seen with like 30 points, especially with Austin, scoring 30 points also, and sometimes like 25, mixing around the scoring numbers. But in terms of the long run, it's gonna be interesting when LeBron retires.
I think it is funny though, because we can sit here and say, "Oh yeah, LeBron's on a fit." Like, just appreciate LeBron.
Absolutely.
That's all.
I mean, look, he's one of the greatest players you've ever seen. Just appreciate him. I mean, when he's gone, NBA won't be the same. I'm just gonna tell you something, like, when LeBron's gone, it's gonna be a whole lot different than NBA, bro.
Oh no, I agree with that. So yeah, Pelicans. 10:30, Eastern time, and that's 7:30 your time.
Yeah.
And this team is 7. I'm not reading this wrong. 7-31 on the road. If the Lakers lose tonight,
don't even say that.
But that's my point. Is that really last night was a struggle, and I get that. I mean, they still fought back at the end. Oh, what did you think, by the way, about LeBron being on the bench during that run at the end of the game?
Like in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I was like kind of iffy about it, just because LeBron's like one of our best players. He can, he's LeBron.
Yeah.
But I think it probably would have been better if he was on the floor, just because he can drive, he can pass, especially when Luka's on the floor together. But it's a loss. We just gotta move on. But
yeah, no, I thought that was a little interesting. The Lakers, by the way, are 14.5-point favorites tonight. I think this is a blowout. I mean,
I hope it's a blowout.
I don't know if LeBron plays. I could see them resting him in this one because it's against the Pelicans. But
right,
yeah, I really, if they lose this game, yeah, I would be really upset. But they just got absolutely destroyed by the Clippers. So they're probably ready to get away from LA. Gave up 114. They gave up 16 to Bogdanovich off the bench. They only scored 98. And their leading scorer was Jose Alvarado. They've dealt with, to be fair, they've dealt with a lot of injuries.
Right.
They lost Murray for the year. So
yeah, I mean, it's also a game for Luka to bounce back. It's against a not so good team, but it's an opportunity for him to bounce back and hopefully get momentum for the 3-game road trip, especially when it's 2 games against Oklahoma and then 1 game back in former hometown Dallas. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean,
I'm sure that game's scheduled or circled on the calendar.
Oh, Dallas, dude, it's gonna be a crazy game, Dallas, man. I mean, the fans will be like either booing or, I mean, actually mostly happy for him to come back, just booing the general manager for trading him to the Lakers. But we'll take it. But it's so bad for the Dallas fans. But everyone counts nowadays, man.
That is true. Everyone counts. And
6 games left, and the season we just got to keep on winning, and then hopefully secure a top 4 seed and get to the playoffs.
Yeah, so currently Oklahoma City is going to run away with the 1 seed. No shock there. 64-12. Houston, they're likely. I mean, there's still a way that they drop out of the 2nd seed, but I think
they'll probably stay 2nd seed.
I think so too.
The max, I think Lakers will be 3rd seed, depending on like the the wins that we either win or lose, and Denver's losses, and especially with the Warriors right behind.
Denver has not looked great. There's an opportunity there. I mean, they've lost 4. They've lost 6 of their last 10. So
yeah, I mean that's true. But I remember the last few games they've been resting Jamal Murray and Jokic in the last game against San Antonio. Pretty much had their starting 5 sit down for that game, which lost.
Yeah,
had to go to the 3rd seed. Then we lost last night, went back to the 4th seed. Now they're back at 3. So I think it'll be like back and forth until the season ends, and then that'll determine where we stand in terms of the seeding in the West. So it's just crazy because it's literally a 2.5 games separation from the 3rd to the 8th seed. How crazy is that? Wild West, man.
It is wild.
2.5 games.
It is absolutely wild. I think, I think when you look at it, the Timberwolves have won 7 of the last 10. The Clippers have won 8 of the last 10. The Warriors have won 7 of the last 10. I think Memphis is going to drop out of the play-in or playoff. They're going to drop into the play-in. We're going to see the Timberwolves and LA Clippers fight off for that 6th seed. So that could be who the Lakers play. We could be looking at whoever. I think the Lakers match up fine against any of these teams, to be honest with you. So I'm not worried. I'm just, obviously letting people know. So the Lakers are the 4 seed. For those of you who don't know, 46-30. like I said, they're 29-10 at home, so really good home team, but they're 17-20 on the road. They do have to go on the road twice against a team that's undefeated in their last 10.
It's gonna be hard.
Oklahoma City is just a well-oiled machine. And man, if you're complaining about the refs after this game,
no, honestly, last game was not the referee's fault. It was Lakers' fault.
No, but when you go up against OKC, you're gonna have some gripes.
Oh, it's gonna be referees for the Lakers, as we'll say on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an absolute stud, but
phenomenal.
Some of the calls he gets is it's wild to me. I watched him shove a guy, and then they gave the foul on the guy that he shoved in the back.
Not to mention that LeBron literally gets no calls when he drives to the rim. He gets hit on the arm, for example. He just never gets the call. And,
yeah,
it's crazy how that works.
It is crazy. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Do you have any final thoughts, Ethan, before we do so?
All right, so we got 6 games left. We got Pelicans today. We got 2 on the road against OKC. We got Dallas, which is a big game, and then back home next Friday against the Rockets, which is also another big game, and then wrapping up the season on the 13th versus Portland. So, what are your predictions here for how many games we win out of those 6?
So I think that they're probably looking at splitting them. If I'm being honest, I think they win 49 to 50 games, so 3 to 4 games, right?
Right.
I would probably say they end up winning 50 games of the year. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I would say 50 max, but my main concern is to get to the 4th seed max, so we can at least have a home court advantage in the first round, and like we talked about multiple times. So that's the number one goal right now.
Yeah, I think 50 could get you the 3. I think it does lock you into the 4.
Right. Depending on how the other teams seed. But the good thing is we have the tiebreaker of the Warriors, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Clippers. So that'll be a big help, especially if we ended up having a tied record. So we just got to keep that in mind. So if you guys don't know, Lakers have tiebreaker of those teams.
Yeah, we'll have to keep it. We'll have to keep it up because it's not going to be easy. And then, then we got playoffs to cover, which will be fun since we just started our show. This is episode 5. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Downtown Lakers. Also, if you're on Twitter, be sure to head on over to YouTube and subscribe to Downtown Lakers. It's a small little click of a button for you, but it means the world for us. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate that.
Guys. Appreciate it, man.
Hit the thumbnail or hit the thumbnail. Hit the thumbs up. Thumbs up, aka the like button. Also, and drop a comment letting us know your biggest concern and your the thing that you're most excited about with the Lakers. Drop in the comment section below. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Ethan Shirazi. You can follow him at Ethan Shirazi 24, and you can follow me at JK Bogan. We'll be back next Friday, but until then, you guys take care. We'll see you soon.